I'm here with Bradley Charbonneau, and before I start talking to him, I want to just say that this week has been all about boundaries. Bradley and I, good friends here, we always come into the city and do some co-working, and I came up with an idea, because him and I have done this before, where I just talked to him about this topic. I think it's useful to talk to other people about things that seem to be in the ether, kind of out there, that I'm picking up on, to give some real example around boundaries. So Bradley, thank you for joining me in this little conversation.
Hi Susan, glad we're here.
Bradley's written several books, I don't know, how many are you at now?
It's a big number. It's scary.
It's a lot. It's over 35, right?
Yeah.
And Bradley has taught me a few things along the way. We're very creative people, and right now I'm working with a group of entrepreneurs, and when we set goals or we have a dream that we're casting towards, often our saboteurs come up. And I know that happens for a lot of people. Like we just talked about an idea that you have, and that can be fun in the ideation stage, but when we really bring it out of that place and we start creating action, that's when we start getting a little bit afraid and want to go back into our comfort zone.
Yeah.
And so that's where my group is at right now, and they're learning all these saboteurs, and they're also learning what they're going to need in order to achieve those things. And often that means new boundaries. Because what you're doing is you're opening up a new chapter in your life. You're opening up towards a different thing that maybe you've never experienced before.
Okay, yeah.
And so when we were talking earlier, you're like, boundary seems really big. And for me too, it's pretty vague. And I've done videos on boundaries before. It's just like, that's how I feel about that word. Like, shut up about boundaries. But lately it's gotten back into, my awareness, because I've wanted a lot of change, and I wrote an email this morning about that, and I think it's interesting to engage with other creative, entrepreneur type people. How do you see boundaries for yourself? If you just the word itself, what comes up for you when you hear that word?
Well, the very first word is wall, or border, or barbed wire.
Oh, wow.
I know. Sorry,
it's getting crazy.
Getting crazy here, but we were talking about. I'm in the middle of I don't know where I am. I'm doing a juice fast, or pretty much only juice fast, and I think I'm on day 29, which is kind of hard to believe. But you mentioned, there's boundaries in there, and I'm thinking, what? How is that? How are there boundaries in there? What do you mean? Because I think we have our own idea of what boundaries are.
Yeah.
And for me, I think what are my boundaries? And my boundaries are like, I am not going to have a bite of the dinner I'm cooking.
Right. Which is crazy. You made lasagna the other day. Nothing.
I made homemade lasagna.
Not even a little piece of cheese.
Not even a little piece of cheese. And also, so speaking of, maybe this is relevant, because this is actually helping me understand boundaries and the definition of it, or how you might define it. It's here, exactly what you said, not even a piece of cheese. And I realize that in the past, pre-juice fast here, I take a bite of everything. I think I have no boundaries when it comes to cooking and snacking. And now I'm seeing that I have no boundaries, because I have this extreme boundary. I have a huge wall up. I'm not allowing myself to eat anything. So that's kind of crazy and extreme, and I get that. But what's helping me is helping me see, wow, normally because often I'm the cook in the family, and often when dinner's ready, I'm not hungry anymore, because I've been snacking on the dinner the entire time I've been making it. And I think it's fun, but then my family's not so excited. Oh, aren't you eating? Oh, well, I kind of already ate. Oh, well, that's not very gezellig.
So
that means cozy in Dutch.
Here's the thing that's coming up with how you are exploring this word.
Yeah.
And I want to invite a different space on it, because that is discipline.
Okay.
So you've set up something which is also relevant, because discipline means you are saying to your body, right now, we're not going to eat. And then after a certain point, there's a tipping point, right? Where you are now, this is your normal.
Yeah.
Which is great.
Right,
so it's similar.
Right. Okay.
But it's a self-imposed discipline.
Yeah.
And where boundaries are energy leaks. So before you have boundaries, you're just everywhere.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so it's a little more nuanced. I like the discipline part that you're bringing into this conversation. You're exploring something with your physical body if you can meet those constraints. But where boundaries come in on a bigger thing is about you taking space for who you are. A lot of women entrepreneurs that I work with people please. I like what you're saying because that's adding a different angle. And I think that's what happens when we have words that are so vague that we don't have understanding around them.
Yeah.
Because, you have to create a boundary. Like, I'm not going to have dinner with my family because I'm doing this.
Yeah.
And I'm seeing it more in I need a half hour between work time and dinner time just to myself to decompress. And that's my needs. So it's usually meeting a need, a desire, or a preference in life.
So could it be, so you say that's interesting, the meeting a need. So my need, and this is where there's been some friction, is that what I'm doing right now is not very social. It's not very friendly. And my wife doesn't love it, right? We literally went out to dinner on Friday night, and I'm a barrel of laughs at dinner. Like, I had a bubbly water, and she has her, salad and pizza.
So funny, right?
And so my need, would she be overstepping my boundaries if she's like, just eat something, this is annoying?
Yeah.
She doesn't do that, but...
Right.
But I think she's thinking it.
Well, because it's an interesting thing. Meals mean a lot to people. It is a way to commune and connect.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like when people give up alcohol. You see that there a lot, because that's super social stuff. Like, let's tailgate before. Right. So I can see how this works into that, because food is a very woven into the fabric of our lives. It gives us energy. It helps us move through the day.
Yeah.
Right? Oh, come on, just eat the lasagna for crying out loud.
Yeah.
That's more their thing, and you have to keep your boundaries.
Yeah.
And that's where it gets challenging.
Yeah.
So using the food thing, it's very still. And boundaries sometimes have to be invisible, the things that we wish we could have more of, right? Like, if I had more time.
Yeah.
And we all have the same amount of time every day, so they say, right? If we stop and look at what our time is going to, then we can start creating boundaries on our time and prioritize what we want to do.
Yeah.
When you start exploring boundaries.
Yeah, I like it. Again, I'm so visual. I can't not
That's
see
good.
things. Because you said there's like a buffer of time, and I thought, I just imagine this almost physical buffer, like an aura almost of time. I just need that half an hour. I remember when my mom used to get home from work, and she's like, I need to go have... She could do the quick naps or the power naps or whatever they're called. Yeah. And she would just go in her bed, and she'd be 15 minutes, and she'd come back out, and she's like, I'm good now. Yep. And she's ready for the evening. And I'm like, how do you do that? But you couldn't bug her, and she didn't, doesn't want to talk. She just wants to go. Yeah. That's interesting. Okay.
And it's a preference for her, right? It's also meeting a need that she has. I need to... Transition time is what I call that. Or we're giving ourselves permission not just to jump from work, school into let's get the dinner on the table and let's take our baths and then go to bed, Yeah. You've been so in it all day. Yeah. And so much happens in your day. Yeah. It does need a little space for processing.
Earlier we were talking about time, and I again see this is a potential interesting topic.
Yeah, boundaries.
About the boundaries. Because like what you said is so clear with the work. Okay, now I'm at work, now I'm not at work, now I'm at home. Right. So that boundary, and again I see it like this like buffer thing, like this. Right. I see this sort of like in a joint in a bones. Oh. You have this stuff. I am not a medical doctor by a long shot, but there's stuff in between your bones so they don't crash next to each other, right? And so that is also some sort of a boundary that helps. So like you have your work day and your home day,
right.
your home evening or whatever. And that, because if you don't do that, if you just jump from one to the other, I don't know, that's overstepping the boundaries, and something's gonna give,
right,
or break, or
you'll be overwhelmed and stressed, and then eventually there'll be fights. But it really comes back to you. I follow this woman, Terry Cole, who has all the things on boundaries. But something that Terry Cole said is that when you have pushback on your boundaries, somebody's saying, well, why can't you just do that? Then that's something to reflect on about your relationship with that person, because they are unwilling to shift with you into another space. Yeah. And further to that, she's like, if you're saying yes all the time when you're want to say no, you're misrepresenting yourself. Yeah. And this blew me away when she said that. And so you're giving corrupt data on who you are and how you want to be respected. Wow. And so that can affect relationships.
You have some lines you've said, a few things that are just really helpful to understand this topic.
Yeah.
Like you said, why did I say yes to that thing from that person who suggested I do it that way, whereas I knew I should do it this way.
Right.
And then whatever, the next morning you're like, well, why did I do it that way?
Right.
That's really helpful.
What we do in coaching is, what are you saying yes to and what are you saying no to? And that's like, if you're trying to go a certain way, we both know you have to do different things, right? So it's good to say, okay, I've got this big project idea. Yeah. How do I want to give space for it so it can grow? Yeah. And when can I do that? And how? Who do I want to work with? How do I want to do that? There's like a lot of big questions. And what am I going to say yes to on this project? Good. What am I going to say no? Yeah. Great. Even if somebody shows up and says you should do it that way, it's already a clear no. Yeah. And then that's stepping back into trusting yourself more and knowing your choices are yours. It's a good topic, right?
It is, but it's also so cool how I love when you can apply something. I found this early. I found it now more clear, but the idea of my fasting thing,
right?
And it can just be applied to this so easily, because I think, like you said, it says this is the way I want to do it, and you can try to convince me otherwise. But if I give in, or if I bring down my boundary or something, I'm not going to be happy about it tomorrow.
Because you've committed.
Yeah.
And back to that word discipline, which I do love.
Right.
You've become disciplined to make this happen for yourself. You might have a specific goal in mind. It might be just to have the adventure, to understand your body differently. Yeah. Whatever that is you have signed up for, you're engaged with it. Yeah. And you could have easily had a meal that night. Right. For a very good reason. You want to spend time with your wife and enjoy dinner together. Yeah. But this is important what you bring up too, because when you are so committed, unshakable boundaries. Great conversation. Yeah. Thank you, Bradley. We'll probably talk about it again.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thanks, Susan. This has really been enlightening.
Super fun.